Hello, welcome back, and this is probably part 3 of making a platform video. Today we are going to implement our enemy and we're going to do player death states. So when our player touches our enemy, once we've set up our enemy, our player will die, and we'll first do that by turning the controls off, so your controller / your keyboard functions / input won't work. And then what we'll do is we'll get like a death animation going on with our character as well. First things first, we do have a bit of a weird wall jump kind of thing. I don't really have it here, but what it allows us to do is if I had like a solid piece of wall going upwards, it would stop us from, or it would allow us to continue wall jumping. Let me see if I can just quickly put something together. Let me click on here and then I can go 2D, get my tile palette back up. I'll stick my tile palette here. And what I can do is just grab a bit of wall really quickly. Let's make sure I'm on grid, make sure I'm on my scene. And then from here, if I start to maybe just from there, paint. And then select. Oh, make sure I select all of those, and then I go -1, and they flip. Cool. Okay, just me looking at the aesthetics and making sure that our platform is on platform. There we go. Cool. So if I pressed, I'm actually, God, it's horrible how OCD I am. I have to put something there, and then go -1, so it flips. If I press play. It should now have function to my jump. Lovely. And if I jump, and what you can see is that I can remain jumping there. See that? You can even get like this kind of wall jump function here. And this is because our collider is constantly talking to the layer mask of ground. So should we go in and change a load of layer masking and stuff like that? No, the best thing we need to do is, as you can see here, this is the best kind of, yeah, it just continues to allow us to jump everywhere we go. That is not good. So we need to add, kind of get rid of the wall jump function within this part of our game. So let me just go close that tab so we can see our game fully. And what we're going to do is we go on to our player itself. The first thing we're going to do is add a box collider 2D to the feet. So let's go. We may already have one, but we can have a look. We've got a capture collider. Oh no, we don't have a box collider 2D. So what we're going to do, we can double click and zoom into our player, into our scene. There we go. So there we go. And we're going to go to add component, and we're going to add a box collider 2D. And we are going to jig this box collider so it's just on the feet. There we go, right on the feet in there. And make sure it's encapsulated into the. And so the capture collider is still is wider than the box collider. So the box collider will fit easily into the capture collider, as you can see here, so it's more narrow. That's really good. So something like that would work absolutely perfectly. So just to kind of cover the feet. Then what we need to do, we can add the no friction to this as well. No friction material to our box collider. Quickly save our game because we've made an edit there, and also we're going to go up to our player, go to, oh no, he's not a prefab yet. If I skips the prefabs, cool, we need to make a player our prefab as well, and we'll do that in a bit. Cool, so what we need to do is jump into our player script, which you've just, which we need to do. And we need to, as you can see here, I've already started it for you. There we go, box collider 2D. Feet collider. So let's get rid of that and type in box collider 2D and call this feet collider, so we know what it's going to do. We then need to call up our feet collider in our start function, so we can say feet collider is equal to our get component, and that is our box collider 2D, and let's just add our parentheses. Lovely. And then right at the bottom, we don't need to change much code. We just want, when it comes to ground, when we're jumping, we want our, instead of our capture collider here, we're going to change this to our feet collider, and that means it's only our feet that's really going to be controlling, or it is only our feet that's now only actually controlling our jump. We will turn, and then our jump will still works on the value of pressed. So let's save that, jump in back into Unity. And what this should do is this will compile and hopefully fix that small little issue of our infinite jump. So let's press play and have a look at our game now, and hopefully that's ironed out that kink. Jump, jump, jump. There we go. Can no longer jump, because as you can see here, if we zoom into our scene and zoom into our player, we can see the collider. This capsule collider is touching the wall before our feet collider, so we can't in fact do an infinite jump, but we can still jump and go other places. Lovely, fantastic, happy with that. Right, let's implement our enemy. Let's come out of our game, press save. Let's just zoom out of here so we can see our scene. Fantastic, cool. So next thing we need to do is set up our enemy. Again, this could be a little challenge for you. You can set up your enemy if you want and put them anywhere you like. Cool, lovely. So you can pause the video or you can watch along. It's entirely up to you. And then so what I'm going to do is find this. There is a patrol enemy somewhere. Enemy, patrol guy, go, I'm guessing. So what we're going to do is initially make sure that we can select all of his sprites. Let's see how big he is. Is he 16 or is he? Yeah, he is 16 by 16. Cool. So we need to change the units per pixel. So exactly the same with our player. Change that to 16. Change the filter mode so we don't get a blur to no and no filter, and click apply. Lovely. Once we've done that, we can go and click off that. Make sure we get all of the grey tabs up because they're the sprites themselves. Bump, 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 bump. Then we can right click, we can go to create, and we're going to create a drum roll. Where is it? Animation. I'm going to call this enemy. Oh yeah, enemy walk, or let's just call it enemy patrol. That will help me out. Cool. And then what I can do is I'm going to drag this into my animations folder, and then I'm going to create a folder for my enemies folder, enemy, and then we can drag this into there. You might want to just call it slime enemy or patrol guy or whatever, and then we can go from there. And then in here we can also create that animation controller, and I'm going to again call this enemy patrol. Lovely. Once we've done that, we can then create our enemy within our actual game. So I'm going to create this as an empty, call this enemy. Oh, make sure it's got a capital E. There we go. Then from there, we're going to add a sprite renderer. There we go. Oh, that's a shit. Let's make sure we can put the right components in. There it is, sprite renderer. And if I go back to SPA enemy, go. Let's choose this first sprite in there. Lovely, there he is. So that should be centered, and we'll put him there for now. Let's also add that animator. Or actually, we can do a little cheat move you can do here. If you go into your enemy and go to your enemy patrol animator controller, you can actually click and drag that straight into the enemy, and it will add the functionality and also put in the controller, which is quite a nice little feature there as well. Let's just double click on our enemy so we can zoom into him. There we go, nice little fella. And we're also what we're going to do today is create a little patrol system for him as well, which should be nice and lovely. Cool. So we've got our enemy in, we've got our animator controller in. Let's add a circle collider as well while we're here. So he's got some collision. Let's just edit that collider and make that a little bit smaller. Cool, I'm happy with that. Pop. And then what we need to do is probably get this fella moving more than anything. So let's create a brand new script. So assets, scripts, right click, create C# script, and call this enemy movement. So just like our player movement, but enemy movement. And then with our enemy movement script, we can, once this is compiled, as you can see here, blah, 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 computer's a bit slow. we can drag this straight into our enemy. And then there we go, circle collider, and then here is our enemy movement as well. Oh, I know what I've forgotten. Let's add a rigid body while we're here. There we go, a rigid body 2D. Let's create collision continuous. He won't be jumping, so we're not going to worry about gravity scale, and freeze rotation on the Z, so we can get all those settings in as well. Lovely. If I'm going a bit too quick, do not worry. Just pause the video or slow me down. This is on YouTube, so you can do the little slow down thing in the bottom right hand corner. Awesome. Right, let's go and jump into this enemy script. So this is going to be pretty similar to our, pretty much exactly similar to our player movement. So the first thing we're going to do is call up that rigid body, because that holds our movement and our velocity. And we're just going to call this enemy RB. And then what we're going to do is create a public float of speed, and then we can call that as, let's just do 1F for now. That's fine. Let's go call up in start our rigid body, so our enemy RB is equal to our get component, which is obviously our rigid body 2D parentheses semicolon. Lovely. And then we can add in update just a really simple bit of move function. So our enemy RB is going to dot velocity, add a new vector 2. There we go. And that new vector 2 is obviously going to be our speed initially, and then we're going to do nothing on the Y, so 0F. Remember, it's vector 2, so we have to say what both states are doing. Lovely, so let's test this scene. Let's save the script, jump back into Unity. And what we should have is that we should have some basic movement for our little fella here. So we press play, hopefully this will jump straight into our game. I don't know which way he'll be going, so I might have to make him go this way. Oh, he's going the other way, so I can just flip him, but that's fine. And then his gravity scale was pretty poor there. Is he already fallen off? He has already fallen off the planet, but he's moving, and that's exactly what I wanted from the functionality. Cool, lovely. So let's quickly, well, we're going to do a patrol system. So what we're going to do is, I'm not going to worry about his gravity for now, and then we can up his speed, but his speed seemed fine from there. Cool, so let's get in a bit of an enemy patrol system. So what we're going to do is we're going to, it's a patrol system which is quite new to me, maybe old to some people, and old, I don't know, depends if you watch other YouTubers or other ways of creating games within Unity. But one of the functionalities that I've seen is the reverse periscope system when it comes to our enemies. So what we're going to do is I'll show you how we're going to create a patrol system, and this patrol system will work anywhere. So let's initially make sure we can add a box collider to our enemy. Box collider 2D obviously, and then we are going to size this down. And I'm also going to flip this fella to -1 because that's the direction he was initially going. And then we can, or actually, no, let's keep him at 1, and if I need to change it, I can change it later. And then in our box collider, let's edit this. And if you know what a periscope is, if you're on like a submarine or something, it's the scope that you go up to have a look at bits and pieces. So what we're going to do is make sure, zoom in a little bit, and make sure this periscope is in the ground, just like that, and it gives a little bit of space. So what's really important is that this is going to be a trigger, so we're going to set this collider as a trigger. So now it's almost like a warning. If this trigger here, so this little box here, goes past this edge here of this edge, so it comes out of the tag of ground, then we'll make sure that our enemy flips. Okay, so what we'll do for that is set a trigger, and within the code set the code as an on trigger exit. So as soon as this trigger here leaves the tiles, it will flip our enemy, and then that will happen at each end of our what's the word I'm looking for, of our tile map. Cool, lovely. So once we have done that, we can probably jump back into our code. Code. Lovely, there it is. Cool. So the first thing we're going to do is write under here an on void, because that was the one thing I said. So on trigger exit 2D. There we go. So that pops up there. Let's just make that void just in case. And then what we're going to write in here is initially we're going to say we're going to flip our enemy speed. So our speed is equal to minus of the speed when that happens, so semicolon. And then what we're going to do is we can create a custom method. So we'll call this flip facing flip enemy facing, and then we can create that right underneath here. Lovely. And then we'll get the curly brackets involved as well. Why is that not? Oh, I know why it doesn't like it. It doesn't have a void. Cool, so it knows where it's going. Get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. Oops. Lovely. Cool. So within our flip enemy facing, we need to say transform dot local scale. So we're going to grab our local scale, which is going to be obviously our scale, and we're going to flip it around. So we're going to say new vector 2. There we go, new vector 2, and we can use the minus of the maths f dot sign, and then we can say oh yeah, enemy rigid body dot velocity, and we can say dot x because that's what it's going to be flipping on, and dunk, and then we can put 1 on a comma. Let's put a comma and then 1f in there just in case. Lovely. We might have to flip this around. We can have a look. We can test our enemy out, and then so let's see if this functionality works. We shouldn't have an error because it didn't pop up within our code. Oh, we do have an error. There we go. Null exception. Oh, okay. If you do see this error, I've had this error before. You need to just close the close Unity and start it up again. What I might do is quickly edit this video so you'll see me as I come back after I've edited this very video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video, but you'll see a clear just suddenly come back. So what you do, save your game, close Unity, open it again, and this error will disappear. Cool, lovely. So I'm just going to save my game, and I'll stop the video, and I'll continue it again in just a second. Right, let's see if that has indeed worked. The console's not giving us the error anymore. Let's press play and see which way he'll walk, and then see if he will actually sort that out in our game. Oh, he's going the other way, but oh no, kinda. So we kind of might need to sort that trigger out, and he's facing obviously the wrong way, but we can kind of see, let's have a look at our scene of how that trigger is working. If we click on our enemy, because it is working, but a bit dodgily. Oh, so it's not until there. So he's facing all the wrong way around. So what we're going to do is just change that to -1. Press play on our game, and that should iron out the kinks. Have a quick look. And now he's decided not to flip. Let's have a look if he's actually coming out of. Oh, now he's stuck. Oh, disaster. Right, let's have a look. So what did he do first time? So he flipped him, and then so the trigger did read, but he didn't flip. Yeah. And then he fell there. Oh yeah, he brought himself back up there. And then he's obviously the wrong way round. And then he's going to come out again, and ooh. Cool, right, let's just move that box collider. Let's offset it. Let's move it to like there, maybe. Press play. So this is going to be a bit of trial and error. It's going to be trial and error of all different enemies. Oh, he still didn't flip, did he? I don't know if the tag came off again though. Yeah, he's flipping there. It's just not enough, is it, on that first side? Let me just change my layout very quickly because then I can see both at the same time. There's my game and there's my enemy. Cool, right, let's concentrate on him and see where that trigger is definitely exiting. And then we can go from there. Oh, so it did look like it left there. Let's go again. Oh, it did look like it left, but maybe it's not long enough. Let's come out again. And again, as I said, this can be a little bit of trial and error that you can play with this. We want to make sure that trigger definitely comes out. Ah, didn't flip there, did he? It does flip there and then gets stuck. Let's go the sublime to the ridiculous and put that trigger right in there and see if he pops out that way. Still not quite doing it, is he? Let's get him right on top there. That is definitely there. Let's double check this is ground. A bit silly if this wasn't it. It is layer of ground, so it's just checking when we exit ground, which is there. So really, if I have, we need to be, let's have them selected both at the same time. Just going to move it out a little bit more again. Let's try that one. Oh, it's quick, isn't he? He's really quick to do it. Now we went into dunk. Cool, it's a bit on the dodgy side, isn't it? I must admit. Let's try. Oh, he doesn't seem to be even almost like going far enough, does he? Let's play again. I don't think it is continuous start on like. Maybe we need to lower this trigger a little bit. As I said, this will be trial and error. I've not really done anything, this kind of thing before. Let's try like this. There's more in the ground. Give that a pop. Still didn't flip. Or maybe it's an error with the, because he is going with the script here. So let's quickly, oh, you know what this means. So if you ever get this, don't worry about it. It means Unity is disconnected with the Visual Code. So we just close Visual Code really quickly, and then we'll go into our scripts, enemy movement. That should read again. Do, 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 do. Perfect. So let's just quickly, I'm just going to quickly edit this. Take out that bracket there and save this to see if this will iron out the kinks. Lovely, there we go. That's what was it. It was just a piece of the code that wasn't quite right. There we go. So instead of the minus, we've done the plus, and that has ironed that out. So there we go. We've got a nice enemy patrol system working there within our game. Lovely, cool. We can see our player there. Cool. Oh, I didn't have a. I know what I haven't done. I haven't put his animations in the animator, so that's not good. Let's quickly do that. Let's open the animator tab. Let's put the animator tab down here. So he does have enemy. There we go. There we go. Animations, enemy patrol. We want this to loop, so let's loop that pose. Fantastic. And let's just press play, and hopefully we'll see his animations and see if they're too quick. Yeah, don't look too bad. Cool. I might just slow that down just a touch. So if we want to animate that, click on the animation, instead of 1, let's set it as 0.7. Press play. That will hopefully sort out. There we go. So those animations are a little bit slower, and you can see he's just jumping along now. Cool. 0.8 might just do it for me. There we go. The OCD kicking in again. Brilliant. Cool. That looks really good. So it looks like we've got our player all established and fully ready and functional. Cool. I'm just going to set my layout back as well, not to confuse any of you, to default, and then this should be nice and easy for you to understand again. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Cool. So let's have a look at player death. So the first thing we need to do is have a look at the player. Let's go back to the player from our scene, and we are going to add. We're going to jump into the code actually, and add a new scripts player movements, and in here we're going to add a new ball. So we'll add this. Let's add this here. Ball, and we can name this as is alive. And initially, when we're playing our game, yeah, we are alive. Alive is very true. Cool, lovely. So once we've done that, we need to, within our update, move, and jump functions, we need to add if we are alive. So let's add it at the top of each one. So let's just say if is not alive. So if we are not alive, we are going to return. Lovely. And what we can do, we can cheat a little bit. We can copy this, and we can put this on the top of our on our move initially, and then on the jump. Dunk, 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 dunk. Lovely, cool. And we can save that, so we know when we are alive or when we are not alive. We can just return to what this functionality if we are not alive. Cool. So what we're then going to do is in update, we're going to add a method of death. So we can add this under here. So let's call this death. Parentheses, lovely. And it's got a red line at the moment because you haven't created that as an actual a method. So if we go void death, curly brackets, lovely. Save that very quickly, and then on death we can say if our character controller is, and you will take this from is touching, we'll take the layers system again, is touching layers. This time we're going to say brackets layer mask, oops, one way around, say layer mask dot get mask, and the layer mask we're going to be looking for is enemy. So we haven't actually created our enemy functionality yet. Our layer mask. We need another bracket there before we do that. There we go. And then within here we can just say is alive equals false. So as soon as we've written this, we can come out of here. And in death, obviously, if we're touching the layer of enemy, if we touch that layer, we die. Straight death. Cool. Let's save this. And what this will do is to take away our controller. So our capsule collider, and that will take away our input, and so none of our keyboard functions will work. Cool. So next thing we need to do is jump back into Unity. That will compile our script. We then need to create our enemy layer. So we go to enemies, and we go to default, and I haven't got an enemy layer, so I go to add layer, underground, we can just go dunk, 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 enemy, 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 lovely, cool. So we can save that while we're here as well. And then hopefully if we press play, I think that's all we need to do. We probably need, well, let's just see if this works initially, and a dunk. Ah, there we go. You can hear me typing away. I have no functionality, but I'm just randomly walking backwards, so we might have to get that sorted out. But our capsule collider is dead. Maybe it's the friction, with no friction on the colliders at all. But that works. That's good. Lovely. Cool. So we'll save our game there because we know that function works. Cool. Next thing, we need to have like a death animation, so something that we can actually see. I'm going to add my animator down to. Actually, it can be up here at the moment because we're going to concentrate on the player and all of this, and especially any state. So we can drag in any state here. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. So let's find a death animation player. Blue red. Red looks pretty good. Just him as red and red dead. There we go. So what is he? 12. So let's change this to 12. Change this to no filter. Click apply. Lovely, lovely. We then can go and create an animation out of this. So click on this. Right click. Go to create. Go to. So this is going to be one frame animation. It's absolutely fine. Animation, and we'll call this death. Cool. We can then drag this into our player animation. There we go. Death. Where's our run animation? That's weird. Maybe I never dragged it in here. Cool. So what we're going to do, we're going to drag our death animation into our animator. And what we're going to do is, let's just put this above here. So any state means anywhere within our game. So any state is talking about any of these states. And because we can die at any time, we can just derive from any state. Okay. So what we need to do is make sure we're going to click on the transition, and we're going to change. Well, when we create a transition, we are going to make a transition from the any state to death, because we're not going to go back to it. So we're going to make transition bump to death. Fantastic. And then we're going to create a new parameter, which is going to be a trigger. There we go, trigger. And then we can call this death. I'm just going to change that because it's got a weird E, lowercase e, lovely. And then once we can trigger this. So dunk from any state, we're going to add the trigger of death. In our settings, our transition duration is going to be 0. Lovely. And that should be it, I think. So we just need to implement that into our code. Cool. So if we go back into our animation script here, into our player script, and under the death animation of once we've touched our enemy, what happens? Well, is alive goes to false, so that gets rid of our controls. And the next thing we're going to do is call up our animator. So anim.set. We're going to find trigger, and then we're going to call that death, because that's the trigger that we called out within our game. Cool. Save this. This should then do the functionality for our death animation. So we're going to make sure we're on our game. Go to, let's put our animator down here so we can see that functionality actually working. Come on, animator, what are you doing? Dunk. And what we're going to do, we don't need to loop this animation because it's only going to happen once. We just want to die. We don't want to die over and over and over again. So there we go. And then once we touch, dunk, there we go. We're dead right into that. We've still got the friction, so that's why that's happened. And there we go. We can see we've gone into our death animation. Lovely. That works like an absolute charm. Right, so last thing we're going to do is add like a slight little bounce or jump once we have hit our player, once we've hit our enemy. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into our script, and we can do this functionality, this little sort of bounce of like a little Mario SNES jump once he gets defeated and you get game over with Mario. What we can do is we can add a new public vector. So I'm going to add that under here because it's public. So I keep all my publics together. So public vector 2. Make sure I can actually spell public vector 2. I can call this deathfall. And we can call this, and this is going to be set as a new vector 2. And we can do this at 20f by 20f. Semicolon, lovely jubbly, and then we can quickly put our deathfall, so through our rigid body. So if you go here, rb.velocity is going to then equal our deathfall, semicolon. Because we made it public, we'll be able to edit this within our game, so we can have a look through, jump into Unity, compile, and then we can, come on, what are you doing? There we go. So we should do some weird little bounce things. Click on our player so we can actually see that script on our player. There we go, our deathfall 20 by 20. Let's see what this does. Click play. There we go, jump into a player. Oh, death. There we go, fantastic. Right, the 20 on the X was a bit weird, so what I might do is just change that to just 0. See what happens. So we do a little jump just up into the air. Let's try this again. Touch the enemy. Oh, death. There we go. And we've still got that weird friction thing on there. Cool, lovely. So we've got our enemy in, we have an enemy patrol, and obviously that enemy patrol can go anywhere as well. We also have our death animation, and we also have our death state where we can't physically do anything. Cool, hope you like this video, and I'll see you for the next one.